Chapter 2, Review 3. I've downloaded the student data file. I haven't saved it yet, but make sure you save yours, adding your last name, first initial to the file name. Step 2, make the current year sheet active and type your name. So this is the current year. Let's see, projected. Just has this information on here. Typing our name in cell A2. In row 9, use the AutoSum and the fill handle to calculate the monthly totals. So here's our AutoSum. I'm going to hit my Enter key, come back up. We can't double click when we go to the side, we have to drag. In the range N5 to P8, use functions to find the total, average, and max values for each type of utility. And then in cell N9, calculate the grand total. So I can just pull this over here. So our total, right? Again, we can use our AutoSum. And I'm going to make sure that Excel grabbed from January to December. I can click on my check mark, copy this down. For our averages, you can use the AutoSum, choose the average function. We are not including the totals in the average, right? Because the total then would be half of everything that it adds up, and it would skew our average. So when we do averages, we only select the data. We never select the total. And that looks right because all of these are exactly the same. And then our max, the same thing. We don't choose the totals when we figuring out the max. If we did, the total would be the max, right? Because the total is the highest number. So, oops, I'm going to backspace out that equal and choose our max function. It puts that equal sign in there for me. Use my selecting cursor to reselect just from January to December. Check mark and copy it down. Step 5, copy the range A1 to P9. Just click and drag A1 to P9 and click on my copy tool and paste it to the same range on the projected sheet. Use the paste options to keep the same formatting. So click in A1, paste with column widths. Step 6, change the entry in A3 to projected. Step 7, water and sewer values are projected to increase by 5%. In C14, right here, type 5%. And for the phone values, we're going to go up by 3%. So we type that there. In cell B8, replace the existing content with a formula that calculates the projected water value. So we want to figure out what the increase is and then add that increase. So we want to see what it's going to cost out the door, for example, for the water sewer with a 5% increase. So I'm going to type my equal sign here, and I'm going to multiply this value times this value. And if I hit enter, $1.13 is how much the increase is going to be. But again, we want to see what that's going to look like when it's added to $22.50. So to finish this formula, we need to add the previous year. And since these are the same amount for every year, we can copy this formula across. When we copy this formula across, though, we need to use absolute cell reference, because if we don't, this is what will happen. I'll copy a few cells over. You can see it starts to change. So when I click here, it went to CDC. Then it went to DED, right? We always wanted to be using all these numbers. So I'm going to come back here and click in between the column and the row numbers and push my function 4 key to add my dollar signs. It's a shortcut. You can type in your dollar signs if you want. And now I can drag this across. And we have our answer. And then we're going to do the same thing for the phone. So again, this is kind of straightforward since these are all the same and we just want to see what the increase is. So equals, this is how much it was the previous year, and we're going to this time add in our absolute cell reference right away, times 3%. Absolute cell reference, and we know if we stopped here we would just find out what 3% of 7550 is, but we want to see what 3% of 7550 is out the door, so we're going to add back our 7550, absolute cell reference, check mark, and copy it across. Step 13 says to show your formulas, and you can do that if you want to make sure that you use the correct formulas.